Hi there, welcome to Belivnu Equestrian. Now you may be wondering how this all came to be about. So to understand that, let's take a step back to the early 1990s, when if you had walked along the River Torrens at Henley Beach after school or on weekends, rain, hail or shine, you would have seen a little girl spending time with her pony, determined to learn how to ride and care for him. You'd have also seen her mum there, working with her own horse, and thought how lucky they were to be able to enjoy their shared passion for horses together. During the early 2000s, you would have heard about a young dressage rider based in the Adelaide Hills, working as stable manager and young horse rider for an Olympic gold medalist she had looked up to as a child. You would have heard about her flying up the levels of dressage right to FEI, and if you'd known her in her early days with her pony, you would have been as surprised as she was to hear about her also competing in show jumping and eventing. During the late 2000s, you would have noticed that she was now out on her own with two talented young horses. And by most measures, you would have thought it looked like she was exactly where she was supposed to be. And while it all looked good on the outside, there were some heartbreaking setbacks, but it wasn't those that caused it to fall apart. What this young rider desperately hoped you didn't notice was the quiet unraveling happening in the small moments, the ones that are so easy to explain away. She hoped you hadn't seen her crying in the tack room after a ride, or hiding tears in the horse float at a competition over things that seemed too small to mention out loud and too big just to push through all at the same time. She hoped you hadn't noticed the full-scale negotiation going on in her head between just make it happen and but what if I get it wrong, and what does that say about who I am, not just as a rider, but as a person. And if you had been watching closely enough, you would have seen her horses knew before she did, and they had already started trying to tell her. Now, if you drive past a property called Ashanda in the mid-north of South Australia, you'll see the genuine joy on her face as she interacts with her horses. You'll see someone who doesn't walk past a horse in the paddock without finding its favourite spot to be scratched. You'll hear her laughing at their antics, a feed bucket carried proudly around the paddock in a horse's mouth, or a hose played with enthusiastically while the water trough is supposed to be filling. You will see training sessions that are still focused, but with a flexibility and curiosity that wasn't there before. And what you'll notice about that is that the horses improve as a result of gaining clarity rather than force. You'll see a person who is responding to what her horses offer rather than reacting to what goes wrong. And if you happen to drive past during the horse's morning nap time and you look really closely, you will very likely see a person sitting quietly on the ground in the paddock with them, just enjoying the honour of being there. It was during her NLP practitioner training, something she initially pursued to work through some mental health challenges that had been running quietly alongside the horse challenges, the ones her horses were probably already noticing long before she was ready to, that things began to make sense. What she came to realise was that the challenges she was having with her horses couldn't be solved by more training, more techniques, more tools in her toolbox, or just pushing harder. She had tried all those. The challenges were living in her. She had been living in the what ifs instead of what is, so focused on what might happen that she couldn't see what was actually happening right in front of her. She didn't need to fix her horses. She needed to stop trying to be the rider she thought she should be and start being the rider she actually was. Once she could see that the expectations and goals she'd been carrying weren't even hers to begin with, and let go of them in favour of what she actually valued, she started to enjoy it again. By now, you've probably worked out the rider in our story was me, Ali Anderson, founder of Belivnu Equestrian. Your journey might look different to mine. The events, the setbacks, the people around you, they might not be the same at all. But If any of those thoughts or feelings felt a little too familiar, reach out via the contact details in the description of this video, and let's have a chat about how to help you show up as the rider you actually are and start enjoying the sport you love again. Chat soon.